What's up, guys? It's Brendan from Market Makers. Happy Saturday, everybody. This is your home for Wyckoff and Advanced Fibonacci TA. We need to talk about Bitcoin because there's a lot going on. We are at a critical support level. We're going to dive right into it. So let's go ahead and look at my screen. Guys, we're starting off in the daily. This is a white swan pattern that I showed you here on the daily time frame. Some very interesting developments with price action. We need to look at this, need to see if we are still overall in a bullish trend, micro trend. Keep in mind, there's macro trends, which is a downtrend, right, from the all-time high. Clearly a downtrend. The micro trend is up at the moment, but we need to see our critical support levels, okay? Let's go ahead and jump into this. So a couple of things we need to look at. We'd established our PRZ where price could potentially rise to before it finds severe resistance, even though it's having a very difficult time to move right now. 47,260 up here. And at that point, I'd expect price to retrace. If it stays bullish, it will make a bottom and then start coming back up again and hopefully pump through it. We had the markets dump, the NASDAQ, the SPX, and the Russell, okay? The crazy end to the week. And this is where we're at now in Bitcoin. So we need to see what this critical level of support is. And let's go ahead and look at this right now. A couple of things we need to look at. Let's look at our VPVR. Okay, this is our volume. A lot of you guys know I trade VTV, volume, trend, volatility, okay? Volume doesn't lie, price often does. All of the legends of the past were very big on volume. And here you can see your volume support for peak volume. You're literally about wicking the volume support, okay? If you come down, something you need to pay attention to, if you come down past this volume line here at 41,629, look at this volume deficit. You see this crater right here? That means there's not a lot of trading going on in that area, which means you can easily fall through that area, okay? Your volume picks back up down in this region, which would be a likely stopping point for Bitcoin, and you can look for confluence with Fibonacci with other indicators as well. But as you can see, critical line here we need to hold. Now remember, this volume line, it was up here, right? Because that was the peak volume in the trading range going back to December 4th. However, because of all this price action down in this area, your peak volume now, your point of control, point of confluence has descended and you're utilizing it as support right now. So let's look at a couple other things here on the daily, and then we're going to advance time frames. So on the daily, let's look at our 89. We need to see where that is. The 233 to 144, they are descending, okay? So they are moving away from point D. They are moving lower, and this is an area of peak resistance. When we do, if we do, get a pump to retest, this is going to be the area you need to watch because you could easily spill back over. And if you spill back over, looking at your price action, this happens often with price. If you spill back over and do something like this, what did you just make? You just made a double top. You see that? You have to be very careful of your neckline because if you break your neckline, you would be going down to your next support level. So it's something to pay attention to. Lots of resistance right there. And then, of course, let's look and see. Well, you know what? Let's go ahead and advance to the next daily time frame, a clean chart. We have that white swan pattern. That's a micro pattern in the sense of that pattern begins over here, okay? This candle's over here. So you're looking at a candle, I'll give you the exact candle. Where did I draw that from? That began December 28th. So a macro pattern, a larger pattern can also appear, okay? So let's look at some larger patterns going from the all-time high. This would be a good area to look for a pattern to our dump candle selling climax, up to our swing high, down to our swing low, and we have a cipher pattern, okay? So this is a cipher pattern. This would come up to 786, roughly about there, 63,324 if Bitcoin did turn bullish. Now again, you have a lot of problems here. You got a death cross with your 55 and 233. We are still on the daily. But let's go ahead and look at our support resistance levels, okay? And we're going to do that by grabbing the all-time high again. Remember, you always want to try to find big waves, okay? Big price waves to find key support structures and key resistance levels. And then look how accurate that is. Zooming in, you're hitting the 382. Do you see how accurate this is? That's going from the all-time high. So you're hitting the 382. If you lose a 382, you're coming down to the 0.5 at 38,766, okay? And again, we can zoom back out. Let's look at some other things really quickly. Let's see where our peak volume is coming in from this range. This is a lot more candles going back to July of 2021. Let's check our VPVR. Our VPVR is above us if we pull in all these additional candles, okay? VPVR is a free indicator. It's this thing over here on the right. Shows you point of control for your volume, peak volume. That's at 47. So once again, that 47,260 number where I have that bearish pattern right here is very relevant, because if we do pump back up, you're going to hit all the EMAs, you're going to hit a Fibonacci pattern and peak volume resistance again. So Bitcoin's a little bit of a bottleneck, and we're going to look at this in Wyckoff as well. So we have peak volume at 47. Let's go ahead and take that off, free up the chart a little bit. Let's look at our ATR and everything here, see what's going on. ATR is starting to come down from being elevated. We could come down to any of these baselines here. We could just pump up from here and have a pump or a dump, okay? So we need to pay attention to that. But ATR is starting to descend. And volume, not very much volume. You can see this in my accumulation distribution indicator. EMA angles down. RSI, I mean, everything's just kind of flat, and you're holding on to this key resistance right now. I mean, you're really cutting it close. You know, Bitcoin's at 41,997 as I'm recording this, and this is 41,913. You've already wicked through it a couple of times, so you have to be very careful here with the price action. Let me look at my VSA. This is part of Wyckoff. Looking where the peak volume, the selling volume and everything is, and the buying volume. Lots of volume beneath us here in the magenta. So again, once we come down, if we did come down and lose that support, you'd find a lot of support down in this area as well, which makes sense because you have the 0.5 and the 618, okay? The 618 is absolutely critical to hold if you did start to descend, because that's 35.6. The 0.5 is at 38,766. Go ahead and turn that off. And let's look, see what our zigzag's showing us here. Yeah, I mean, it's just a lot of confluence for this range where you're at right now. You're at the median line and a trend channel as well. So lots of confluence here for this angle, for this support level of the 382. It's a very important support level because if you also notice, just looking at the candle here, it's a pump candle, right? Pump candles tend to get given up if you lose support, okay? So this is a pump candle. Just notice this was a pump candle right here, and you can easily fall down to a lower range, to a larger cluster of candles. Even if you don't understand volume spread analysis, things like that, or don't have access to some of these indicators, you can tell where your strongest support levels are based on candle clusters as well. And pump candles do not offer a lot of support. So this would be a pretty clean drop, I think, to 38.7, and you would need to hold 0.5. Let's see what I have on that next chart. Here's the Wyckoff. Let's look at it here. So Wyckoff. What are we doing here on the daily? We're spending a lot of time on the daily because, again, the daily gives you a bigger picture, a bigger snapshot of what's going on. When we're going to look at the 4-hour too, but when you start getting to these smaller trends, you don't see the overall trend, and it's very important to see the overall trend because, again, you want to know the macro trend is down. However, the micro trend is up, okay? So we need to do some TA on this as well. Let's walk through this Wyckoff really quickly. You have your selling climax candle. There is your demand wick. It's not a beautiful demand wick, but it is a demand wick. And you had some strong action here. You have an automatic reaction, which established your ceiling, sign of strength, made a buying climax candle, an automatic reaction, which established your base. And you have your up thrust, gave you a sign of weakness. And where price is right now is actually the Wyckoff down thrust if we hold support, okay? If we hold support here, you are making down thrust. This is what you're doing right now in the price action. Let me go ahead and zoom in a little bit so you guys can see this. This is where we are. And when you start looking at this from some different angles, you have to look at what else is going on here, right? Let's look at Ichi. See where we are in the cloud. So we got rejected by the edge of the cloud. And again, a couple of things to notice here on the cloud. We are still holding our moving average. You see that? We're holding our moving average, again, which is lined up perfectly with the volume profile, which is also lined up perfectly with the 382 fib. Okay, always looking for confluence with your indicators. Look at the cloud. It's going to start thinning out here. So if you can hold this line and start working your way into here, this cloud's going to thin out, and that is potentially where you would see your breakout up. Remember, just like we called that, when was it? I don't know, all the days run together, like a week ago or so, when I told you to watch this area, you can punch through this area, and that's exactly what price did, okay? It's hard to punch through in heavy resistance, easier to punch through in very tight, narrow resistance. And remember, as long as price is ranging, when you hear people say nobody's buying here, nobody's buying here, there's always buying and selling. If there was nobody buying and it was only selling, price would do this, okay? So there's people buying, and as price ranges up and down, part of the reason this starts getting narrow is you're filling orders, okay? People are selling, people are buying, and you are ranging. This is accumulation ranging. This is price being controlled in a range. You want that range. Big money wants that range to not get euphoric, because then it gets too expensive when it shoots up. And they don't want the price to bottom out, because then you lose the range, and of course everybody's holdings would be dramatically affected by that, including the big money that has been accumulating, the composite man, okay? So let's look at this a couple other ways. Let's turn off Ichi. And again, this still is the daily, guys. Let me check out our Caterpillar, see what it's doing on the daily. I'm going to zoom out a little bit for this. It's still starting to bottle up. You got some room to go, because you can get about that tight before you get an explosion. And again, that's a big explosion of 30,000 points. So it's still got a little ways to go here. So we could just be accumulating, you know, I know it's painful to watch, guys. I know it's painful to watch, but you can range trade these things too, or you can trend trade, and there's alts that may be starting to pop off as well. So let's look at a couple other things. Let's check out our volatility here on the daily. So we lost one of our volatility moving averages. We are between them, okay? So again, part of the theory, part of the part of the technical analysis of being in a critical level of where Bitcoin has to hold this line. If it starts losing this line and falls down, you're going to have volatility above you like a wet blanket. You have a lot of moving average resistance above you, and everything makes it harder to climb up if you descend. And Bitcoin has made some nice progress here, so we want to keep that progress in line. And let's check out our buy sell here in the daily. So this utilizes ATR, okay? So this is sigma values from mean. So this is set to 2 sigma values from mean from the ATR baseline volatility. So again, this is an uptrend, okay? You're seeing it in the green candles. It's still an uptrend, but we got to hold that critical support level. And that's been the story of the last 24 hours. I waited till this evening to make this video, hoping to give you some more breakout type information if we are breaking down or breaking up, but we're just holding critical support. We're starting to lose half of our Kaufman moving averages. You could see that as well in the VAMA, the volatility moving averages. We're split, okay? So we're stuck in between them. So this is, part of holding the line and Bitcoin making a decision. And let's go ahead and box this off as well. Selling climax candle, and we'll go to the 4-hour chart for some more current TA. And our automatic reaction, exited the trading range. You see that, the sign of strength, accumulating at a higher level. Let's go ahead and go to the 4-hour. 4-hour time frame. Again, confluence with the VPVR from the daily. Confluence with the 382 fib from the daily. Look where your 233 is on the 4-hour. Do you see this is such a key support level? Everything is pointing to the level that we are currently at, which is this level here to 233, that 41.6, 41.8 on the 382. This is exactly what you need to hold. If you lose this 233 on the 4-hour, that is very bearish, and you will be descending again, okay? So you want to hold the line here. Let's look at some more support resistance structures at this level as well. And let's look at, let's see what Ichi looks like on the 4-hour. Remember, these indicators present differently on different time frames. See, on the 4-hour, you're bullish. You fell below your moving average, but you're holding the 233. You had a nice support cloud, but just like the other cloud in reverse, how it's thinning out in resistance, this is thinning out in support. You see this? It's going to be the same story here. Is this area where you could lose it and fall through it. And this area really starts beginning February 16th. Maybe a little bit before that. I mean, you can fall through at any level, okay? You can pump through at any level, but just, it's easier to fall through support as support thins out, just like it's easier to pump through resistance as resistance thins out. So you need to watch this area. We could be accumulating for a little while. As long as we hold that line, hold this 233, we can stay in this range, just accumulate, and then hopefully get some bullish momentum. And if we don't, we got to watch that downside as well. Let's go ahead and take this off. Remove Ichi. Let's look at, where's our 55? See if we got our bullish cross here. So we have our bullish cross of the 55 and 233. And if you zoom in, you can see what's happening here. Look, the 55 is basically flat. The 233, they're basically parallel to each other. You see this? So we need to, price needs to come up. If price comes up, you can have some nice movement. One thing to look at, guys, always looking at patterns, right? Let me show you something here. So the way price rolled up over here, you see this in the accumulation range here. This is the LPS, right? Last point of support on the 4-hour time frame. Look what price did. It rolled down, it made this little cup, and then it had strong signs of strength. You see this? Look what price did here. Rolled down, made this little cup. We're at the base of the cup still. If it goes bullish, guys, I'm not saying it's doing this for certain, but if it goes bullish, you're going to see signs of strength. If we truly are in Wyckoff accumulation still, and this is not the beginning of a descent, flipping accumulation to distribution, if we truly are, you would expect to see price come back up and test the top of this box again, okay? And then eventually, of course, you would be exiting this box with a sign of strength and rolling over at a higher level. Remember, keeping that higher low concept going. That's a bullish trend, okay? That's what you want to keep going, even here on the 4-hour time frame. Let me go ahead and get rid of all of that. And is there anything else of interest here? Let's see where the VPVR is here on the 4-hour time frame. VPVR, let's go ahead and pull this in. These are 4-hour candles. So VPVR is much, well, there you go. It's up, I mean, it's even at the 4-hour time frame, it's at the exact same level when you pull in candles here, going back to January 9th, okay? January 9th, you got to hold that line. That line is so important, 41,670. Write it down in your books. Hold 41,670, okay? Throw it on your charts. If you hold 41,670, you're holding the 233. You have the volume profile here saying this is peak volume support, which would then flip to peak resistance if you fall beneath it. You have this big gap. Once again, you can see this on the 4-hour time frame. Your next area of support is literally in the accumulation box. Look how accurate this Darvis box is for accumulation. Look at your peak volume, your spiky tops here in your volume. This is your accumulation. This is what Bitcoin is building up here, okay? You can see it in the volume. Look at the accumulation here, getting big spikes of volume, lots of buying, and you want to range back up here and start filling in these spikes of volume. Give yourself support, and then you get your breakout, okay? That's what we want to see Bitcoin do, but it is, I mean, look, it's on a tightrope. It's literally using the last line of support before a dump. And that dump I have here with just this trend line from the accumulation here is at 38.9, and you're coming somewhere in that range. So it's just something you really got to pay attention to. Be on the ball with this. Lots of stuff going on this weekend. So just be on the ball and pay attention to this. And let's check out our indicators here. 4-hour time frame, see what we got. Our ATR spiked up a little bit because we dumped, as you guys know, a little bit. So really, this looks like if we just hold the line in accumulation, we're going to come back down and test this frequently used baseline over and over again in trend, okay? Going all the way back to January 30th. So we get a couple weeks here of trend, 10 days, whatever it is, 13 days, I guess about 2 weeks. We got a couple weeks worth of trend using this baseline. So I'd like to see us come back down, hold that key support structure, and see some movement by Bitcoin. And let's look at the volume. Broke out above our 21 a little bit on this little dump here. I mean, there's nothing here really. The RSI was pretty, the ALMA here was pretty red, and it's pretty flat right now. So lots of just flat accumulation, holding this line, testing this support over and over again, right? Remember, in Wyckoff, this is a down thrust. If we end up recovering from this and moving back up, these are down thrusts. These are shakeout candles. These are shaking out the weak hands before a sign of strength. Okay, before the market movers move this up into the trading range, and everybody that got stopped out or that's not paying attention as these candles start to come up, if they do come up, they're not going to be along for the ride, and it's a shame. But guys, this is such a critical support level to hold. You got to pay attention to it, because if you are in positions, be aware that you will easily get stopped out if this thing falls apart, because you're coming back down into this box if this falls apart. Okay, so that is a decent size declination in price. Let's just go ahead and take it from the wicks here. This would take you about, let's just say mid-range, just to be fair, about a 9%, 10% move, okay? So just be aware of that. Guys, if you like this type of TA, definitely check out our room. Our Discord link is in the video description. Love to see you guys there. Very simple. Keep getting asked about in the comments how to join. Download Discord. They email you. Open your email. Verify your account. Then just click our link and you're in. And guys, if you want a new platform for 2022, check out BitGet. They sponsor us. I don't monetize my channel. They are a fantastic liquid platform. It's where I trade with no VPN, no KYC, means you need no ID. Anybody in the world can trade there, and their fee structure is extremely low. Highly suggest you check them out. Give them a chance. I think you would love the platform. All right, guys, another video coming tomorrow. Hope everybody has a fantastic Saturday night. Talk soon, everybody.